Hello, Internet. I've heard some crazy things about Victrix Honor Guard the last few days. People are freaking out. Reddit is going crazy, no surprise. But even my own Discord has been assaulted by people who think Victrix Honor Guard are going to break the game. So, in classic Happy Crumpin style, Jonathan is here, and I am going to get you to calm down. We're going to figure out how to handle these beasts today, and we're going to see if they are actually overpowered, if they're actually going to break the meta. Hence, no, they're not going to break the meta. Yes, they are a good unit, but blah, blah, blah. So, first off, when I always look at the game, I always look at new challenges as things to solve. So we always try to stop complaining and we start solving the problems. When Inari was busted, and Inari was way more powerful than these guys are going to, brought way more challenges to the game than what these guys are going to bring to the game. No problem, we just got to figure out how to solve them. Same things when it was Legion of Excess. Same thing when it was Death Guard on release. No problems, guys. When there's a new issue to be solved, we're gonna solve it. And that's what we're gonna do today. Let's figure out how to beat these freaking Victrix Honor Guard. There are a lot of units in the game that will just smash these bad boys. We've got DDAs, Sandguard, Lions, Deathwing Knights, Wardens, Custodian Guard, Demonic Incursion, anything. Orks are going to run through these guys. There are a lot of solutions for this problem. But if we want to solve the problem, let's identify the problem. So I'm going to break down the Victrix Guard for you right now, and I'm going to break down what the actual issue is, not what the perceived issue is. And then we're going to talk about how we're actually going to solve all those problems with a variety of these arms. I'm going to break down damage profiles. I'm going to break down everything so you're going to know exactly what to do when you see these jerks on the tabletop. First off, you're going to say, wow, those are awesome models, because those models are awesome. But their profile is pretty simple. They're T4, 2-up armor save, 4 wounds each, and they do have 2 OC. The -1 to be wounded ability, which I think is everyone is forgetting, only applies when they are led by a character, and they can only be led by captains and chapter masters. That's it, which means this unit is at a minimum going to cost 290 points. So please frame in your mind how strong this unit is under the understanding that it is a 290 point unit minimum. In addition to this -1 to be wounded when they're led, they also have a Blood Surge. Now, the Blood Surge is the ability that they will always have. And this is the idea that if one of them is killed in shooting, they can move D6 inches and can end up in engagement range with the closest enemy unit. So you are taking a little bit of a risk if you are trying to shoot them dead. That means long range shooting doesn't care about their ability, because long range shooting is going to tear through them. Short range shooting could be a little bit problematic because that can lead to little issues. Now, the way these guys are kind of combo is you've got Kato Sicarius, who can lead them. He can give them Scout. Kato Sicarius also gives them a 6-inch flat reactive move. Now, yes, this is a big deal, but it doesn't change anything that we're already seeing in the meta. We have reactive moves. We know how to deal with reactive moves. If you are planning on charging this unit in melee, you know that you have to, you can't just move up and expect to get an 8-inch charge, because they will reactive move 6 inches away from you. So you have to plan on either going for the 9-inch, or you have to plan on getting close enough to them and in a certain position that even with a 6-inch reactive move, they can't move all that far away from you. Now, this could be done in several ways. So if I'm using Sanguinary Guard, for example, who have a 12-inch move and even an advanced charge, well, I could actually move like 18 inches with that unit, for example, and I can even wrap myself kind of around the unit. So even if he reactive moves, there's no way he's going to get outside of, 3 inches of every single one of my models, meaning no matter what, I'm basically still going to make this charge. So that is a way to get around the reactive move. And then you can also, but just remember, if they are led by Kato, that's going to be a 340 point unit. Yes, it is a problem. Yes, it is strong. And yes, it does hit hard. It hits hard with 5 attacks each at strength 5, AP 2, damage 2, no doubt. But it's a 340 point unit. It should hit hard. It should be durable. It should be problematic. Marneus, Calgar leading them, is going to be either 410 points or 350 points, depending on which version of Marneus is leading them. If it's just Terminator Armor Marneus by himself, it'll be 350. If it's Marneus with the extra 2 Victrix Honor Guard, it's going to be 410 points. They do get advance charge. They do get fallback shoot and charge. Yeah, very strong unit. And if you're running Gladius, you can actually still use the strat to give them a D6 reactive move, which means they can have D6 reactive move on top of the Blood Surge. It does make them problematic. But once again, I ask you, is it okay for a 410 point unit to be really good? Now, people are really worried about seeing these guys in 18s, and I am going to break down the math for you really, really soon on just like how it's not that big a deal to deal with these guys, okay? But People are really concerned about seeing 18 of them. 3 squads of 6 of them because they're so undercosted. They're not. The reason why people are really scared of them is that one of the squads has a sergeant who gets 6 attacks with twin linked, and they also have what's called the Banner Macrage. And the Banner Macrage will give them a once per game +1 attack, +1 strength to every model in the unit, which means that one turn, especially if they're going into the Oath of Moment target where they're also going to get +1 to wound, that unit is terrifyingly powerful. Got it? Yes, it will hit very hard on that turn. And having Oath of Moment, giving them the +1 to wound, is a big increase in the amount of damage that they can actually put out. I completely understand that. But now you're combining the army rule, and you're worried about combining strats, and you're using once per game abilities. Yes, we know in Warhammer when you stack lots of abilities and stratagems and things, units can perform over what their base stat line will allow for. So keeping all that in mind, only one unit gets that once per game +1 attack, +1 strength. You're only going to have one unit in your army that is going to be Oathed. So if you're charging these guys and you're not Oathed, it doesn't even matter if they survive you swinging into them, which chances are low that they actually survive based off of the types of units that we're actually going to charge into them. So let's break some of this math down. If you're really, really concerned about killing Victrix Guard, I'm going to show you how to kill them right now. Necrons. You can have a Scorpek Lord with 3 Scorpeks, and you're going to kill 3.5. Now, this is assuming Awakened Dynasty, where you can use a stratagem for +1 AP to cancel out their AOC. Now, Scorpek Lord and 3 Scorpeks, killing 3.5, which is going to be anywhere between 3 and 4, is a pretty dang good thing, because on the swing back, the 2 remaining do not kill your unit. They might kill 2 of the Scorpeks, but one's going to survive, and that gives the Necrons the opportunity to regenerate just the way they love regenerating. Boom, there you go. A DDA on average with 1 activation is going to kill 2 to 4 depending on cover, AOC, and stress for the DDA. So if you happen to give your DDA reroll 1s to hit, if you happen to be next to the Silent King where you're rerolling 1s to hit and wound, you're going to be doing better. But you're going to be killing 2 to 4 in a single activation. That AP4 with flat 4 damage is brutal. It's absolutely disgusting, and it's going to cause a lot of problems. You kill even more if you have remained stationary. And for a 200-point unit to actually shoot once and be killing approximately 110-ish points, that's a pretty good activation, especially since Victrix Honor Guard don't regenerate. Now, if your opponent is going to be using, AOC and stuff in shooting, okay, that's great. That means that you're going to be severely depleting their CP to be able to do it in melee. So having mixed arm combinations is actually a really big deal. The Silent King, he's going to kill 3 to 4 of these guys in melee alone, assuming that he's using his reroll 1s to hit and wound aura. That is even with AOC. That is monstrous, okay? That means that they're going to do absolutely nothing to him. So you've got tons of ways, and there's other units that can do well into them as well, by the way. I'm just giving you examples of what basic units do into them. Let's look at Blood Angels. Blood Angels crush these guys. 6 Sanguinary Guard without a character leading them. So just 6 Sanguinary Guard with swords. We're not even going to give them Oath. And we will give our Victrix Honor Guard access to AOC. So they get to use AOC. We're not using Oath. We don't have a character leading us. We will use a 1 CP strat on Lance. You're going to kill 5 Victrix Honor Guard on the charge. That's amazing. Now, let's say they do AOC and they use their stratagem for -1 to wound to stack with their normal -1 to wound so that your Lance is useless. If you have Oath, you're also still going to kill 5. If you add Dante, you're going to kill another 1.5. So if you have Dante and 6 Sanguinary Guard, which, hint, I still recommend taking Dante in your armies. People, disagree with me. They're wrong. It's fine. They're not wrong. They just play differently. That was me being a little cheeky. You're still going to kill, 6.5 of them. And that's without using your lethal. That's kind of disgusting. And considering the fact that you move 12 inches, you have the ability to battle shock people at -1 in the fight phase, so maybe they can't AOC. And you have access to Advance of Charge, you will be the initiator here. So Blood Angels will crush Victrix spam. I've done it already. I've played it. So that's not just theory. Yeah, Blood Angels crush Victrix spam. All right, Dark Angels. Let's look at what Dark Angels does to these guys. If you're playing with the Lion, well, Lion's going to pick up 5 Victrix Honor Guards or 4 if they AOC. You have 8 attacks. You got lethal on them. You're rerolling 1s to hit. You're rerolling 1s to wound. Strike 12, AP4, damage 4. You're going to kill 5 of them or 4 if they AOC. Then they're screwed. A Deathwing Knight Squad, while a Deathwing Knight Squad by itself is actually not particularly good at killing the Victrix Honor Guard. This is assuming the AOC. I'm basically always going to assume with AOC. And just remember, they can only AOC in one place. So if you're trying to kill multiple units, the second units become much easier to kill. Deathwing Knights are going to kill 1.5 with Armor of Contempt or 2.5 without Armor of Contempt. And if they are next to the Lion and they get the reroll ones to hit and wound aura, they're still going to kill 3.5. The cool thing about this is that on the swing back, when Victrix, the ones that survive go into the Deathwing Knights, they don't even kill one. They might kill one if they spike slightly high. So it's like the Deathwing, just remember, you don't always even have to kill the unit. You just have to neuter the unit and handle it. Deathwing Knights kill 2, kill 3. Doesn't matter. The unit is now handled at that point. If you're running the ICC brick, ICC with Azrael will kill 4.5 with no buffs. That is going to kill 6 if they have Oath of Moment and the reroll ones to wound. If they do AOC, then you'll only kill 3, but you're still going to kill 4.5 if you have Oath and reroll ones to wound, right? So if they use their strats, you can use your abilities to buff your guys too, and you're still going to obliterate these very expensive units. Now let's look at the Custodes Guard. This is one of the ones where I've been hearing players be the most upset, is they're thinking, oh, Victrix Honor Guard, they're just better Custodes. They're really not. Now, that doesn't mean Victrix are bad. Victrix Honor Guard, to be very clear, are very good units. I think they're really, really strong, and they allow for a super cool style of play for the Ultramarines in general. So Victrix Honor Guard, the point of this video is not to say they're bad. They're not. They're very good. It's to show that they are very counterable, and I will really want you guys to understand the amount of damage you're doing into them. Okay, so if you're playing Shield Host with the Adeptus Custodes, just take a basic squad of Custodes Guardians. Custodes Guardians, you're always natural. Now, in this scenario, you will take +1 AP instead of the crits on 5s, but that means if you go to AP3, so the AOC, now it's effectively AP2, you're going to kill 4 of them if they AOC. Then there's only going to be 2 left to strike back at you. And remember, they're wounding you on 5s because they're only strength 5. Then, if you get full wound rerolls, like let's say you're fighting on an objective that you control, you're actually killing 5.2 of them. And this is without your leader, because remember, they have to have a leader. So if you don't even have a leader, you're still going to kill 5 of them, and that's going to leave just their leader and 1 guy alive to strike you back. If you do have a leader, let's say like a Blade Champion, you're going to wipe the entire squad because that Blade Champion is going to come in with a strength 6, rerolling wound rolls, looking for devs. It's going to be disgusting. So yeah, you wipe these guys. In Lions, so Lions of the Emperor, you don't get the extra AP, but you get +1 to wound. So you're going to be killing 3.5 if they AOC, and you're killing 4 if you get full wound rerolls, assuming you have the +1 to wound. It's not quite as good as it is in Shield Host, but it's still plenty good enough to actually destroy your people. Remember, if you're concerned about your opponent dropping 2 CP to be double -1 to wounded, right? Because like Lions give you +1 to wound, so they use the double -1 to wound to counteract your +1 to wound. If you're concerned about them using that and AOC together, guys, that's awesome, because that means every other unit that you charged is just going to die because they have no defensive buffs. They can only use those strats in one position. And if you're really worried about them doing that, just bring a Vect Aura, like take a Custodes as an ally. If you're playing Chaos Space Marines, you would take, Cypher, use his Vect Aura. There's lots of ways to get Lady Malice for Dark Eldar. There's lots of ways to get Vect Aura. Of course, not every army has access to it, but not every army has access to every single tool. But the point is that you have amazing tools for handling these Victrix Honor Guards. So I'm going to do like 2 or 3 more armies here, and then I'm just going to wrap it up and wrap up how to actually handle the Victrix and why we all need to calm down and stop overreacting. Demonic Incursion has a hilarious way of destroying the Victrix Honor Guard. If you're playing Demonic Incursion, which most people do, if you're running a Renmaster build, 2 Renmasters and a single unit of Bloodletters. 2 Renmasters point at 1 unit of Victrix Honor Guard. They both use their buff, because you can stack those buffs, to give +1 strength, +1 AP, and +1 damage. And suddenly a single squad of unled Bloodletters charge in, and they will kill 7. And remember, it's Demonic Incursion, so you can even spend a strat to give yourself +1 AP, take you to AP 5. And remember, you're always going to initiate here, because in Demonic Incursion, you can get a 6-inch deep strike charge, but the Bloodletters have a banner which give them +1 to charge, so you only need a 5-inch charge. That means Demonic Incursion should giggle with glee if they run into Victrix Honor Guards. Now, if you're not running Renmasters, there's other ways you got to do it. But just look at Bloodcrushers and a Skullmaster. On the charge alone, they're going to kill 2 of these guys if you that's amazing. Like that's just amazing. Just charge mortals alone will kill 2 of these Victrix Honor Guard. So keep in just keep it in your you guys' brains. There's lots and lots of ways around these. Let's talk about the Orks, because Orks are one of the factions that I hear people are really freaking out about as well. But let's run some math on it. Now, if I have 10 knobs with power claws with a war boss, you're gonna kill 5.4 of them if they AOC. If you use Unbridled Carnage to crit on 5s, you're going to kill 6.5. You're going to kill more than the unit because that squad is brutally powerful. Now, this is assuming Gua, and this is assuming that you're not in range of Gaz with lethals. If you're within range of Gaz with lethals, you'll kill like 9 of them, even if they OC. If you're fighting on death with, say, 5, and I'm going to let you know why fighting on death, why that's important. If you fight on death with, say, like 5 knobs and a war boss, say your opponent wants to combat interrupt or they charge you, you're still killing 5 of them. And that's without lethals from Gaz. And now the reason why this is really important is to understand that Victrix Honor Guard, when they use Armor Contempt, remember only 1 unit can use it, that cannot be used reflexively to a unit that is fighting on death. Because when you are fighting on death, your unit is not selecting the Victrix Honor Guard as the target of your attacks. It'll be individual models. So because of the wording of Armor of Contempt, you can only use Armor of Contempt when you are selected by an enemy unit to attack you. So you can't use it reflexively on Fight on Death. So Fight on Death, 5 with a War Boss is going to murk one of these squads. 10 knobs with a War Boss will murk one of these squads, even with AOC. It's kind of... you just kill him. Then Gaz by himself. If Gaz is by himself, Gaz will kill 3.7 if they AOC, which means it's going to be either 3 or 4, just depending on how dice go, right? If they do not AOC against Gaz, he's going to kill 5 of them by himself, assuming average rolls. These are average rolls, not talking about spikes here, guys. And remember, Gaz is also probably going to have 20 boys with him and a big mech. So you're probably going to kill closer to 8 or 9 of them, which is pretty hilarious. And just keep in mind, they can't use their Armor Contempt if you're fighting on death. So you're still going to use all the same strategies that you always want to use against Marine Power Armored Bodies. And lastly, let's talk about the World Eaters, because World Eaters just do not care. One of my favorite units in World Eaters, and I've got several clients running this unit right now and a bunch of GTs, and we're getting great results. We're getting tons of like 4-1s, and I'm really, really excited about it. The 6-man 8-bound squad, which is pretty dirt cheap. It's 270 points. It's going to kill 4.75. And that is without any buffs. So that's just using the +1 AP to cancel out their AOC. You're still killing 4.75. Now, if you have buffs, so let's say you get lethals and sustained, you're going to kill 6.35. So you're going to wipe the squad. Now, 10 Berserkers with Karn, they kill 4 of them without buffs. We're still assuming +1 AP to cancel out the AOC, right? And if they don't AOC, you're going to kill a lot more. And then when you get buffs to, lethals and sustained, you're going to kill 5. Now, here's where it gets really spicy. If you happen to have dev wounds up, because you roll your 3 6s, and it's like time to get your dev up, Berserkers with Karn will kill 7 of them. That is a brutal, brutal number, and it gets actually worse if you get dev with the 8-bound. So, guys, there are lots and lots of ways to handle these Victrix Honor Guard. Do not worry about people getting new, shiny, cool toys, because it doesn't really change very much. Now, you might alter your list ever so slightly to be able to account for the fact that you're probably going to be seeing Victrix Honor Guards, because they are good, strong units, and I like them and I encourage people to play them, but they are not an insurmountable barrier. Don't spend all your days on Reddit or in the Discords like crying and complaining about them. Instead, let's find solutions to the problem, and let's actually enjoy the process of solving new problems that the meta will present us with. There are some times to actually complain, and I will join you when it is an unbalanced unit that is busted and stuff, but this is not one of them. It's just a good unit that creates a new problem that we can absolutely solve via gameplay and just maybe slightly altering our army list. With that, I'm going to leave you with it. Happy Cruppin'. Crop on. Bye-bye.